For my birthday, I made a reservation for 10. Paid the deposit. Nobody came. A week later, my sister sent me a spreadsheet. We are all chipping in for your sister's wedding photographer. $1,600 each. No happy birthday. No apologies. I sent 1 cent with a note. I already gave everything. Then I shut down the auto payments, changed every password, and left a final transfer label, bond party. They called me 42 times, and not one of them said happy birthday. No text, no call, no post. It was like the day didn't exist for them. Like I didn't. I kept checking my phone the whole morning, half expecting someone to pop in with a "can't wait for dinner tonight." But there was nothing. Just junk emails and an app notification that the restaurant reservation was confirmed. I booked the room 2 months in advance. A private space at this Italian place I'd been saving for something special. 10 seats, warm lighting, exposed brick, quiet enough to actually talk. It felt like the kind of place people dressed up a little for. And I'd been looking forward to it. I didn't ask for gifts or attention. Just a couple hours where we could sit down, eat, laugh, be a family. The list was small. My parents, both of my sisters, their husbands, my Uncle Jerry, and 2 cousins. 10 people. My 10. I paid the $300 deposit without saying anything. I even called ahead to request a few special things like their house tiramisu at the end, candles and all. I was trying to make it easy for them. I showed up 10 minutes early. I remember looking in the mirror before I left and actually adjusting my shirt twice, thinking maybe this year would feel different. The hostess smiled, said the room was ready, and let me in. The table looked perfect. Glasses arranged, menus placed just right. That fresh bread in the middle still steaming. For the first few minutes, I just sat there checking my phone like a teenager waiting for a reply. Maybe they were parking. Maybe there was traffic. Maybe I'd get 10 people walking and laughing, pretending they were late on purpose. I wanted that moment, but nothing happened. 15 minutes, then 30, still nothing. The waitress came over with a polite smile, asked if I wanted to order or wait. I said I'd wait. After an hour, I realized no one was coming. I boxed my meal without eating it. Tipped like someone trying to apologize for their own humiliation. Walked home through the cold with a plastic bag digging into my hand. At home, I opened Instagram. My mom had posted a picture. My sister Kayla standing in front of a full-length mirror in a wedding dress. My dad had commented, "Our little angel looks stunning." It was posted right around the time I was sitting alone at that table. No one mentioned my birthday. No one asked if dinner went well. No one even pretended to remember. For the next few days, I heard nothing, not from anyone, and then the email came. Kayla sent it out on a Sunday afternoon. The subject line was photographer fund. No hi or hope you're well. Just a cold spreadsheet link. I opened it and stared at the numbers. They'd booked some luxury photographer for the wedding, someone who apparently shot celebrity events and charged more than my monthly rent. The total was split among family members. $1,600 each. Everyone needs to contribute by the 30th, she wrote. Non-negotiable. I read it 3 times. Not one word about missing my birthday. Not even a casual sorry we couldn't make it. Nothing. Just a demand. I didn't reply. I opened Venmo and sent Kayla 1 cent. In the note, I wrote, I already gave everything. Then I logged into every shared service I'd been quietly paying for over the years. The family Netflix, the Spotify plan, the group's cell phone account, the AAA membership, even the car insurance that had been under my name since I was 24. I shut it all down. Passwords changed, payments canceled. Then I made one final transfer from the old joint family emergency account into my own savings. Labeled it, Bond Party. The call started that night. First it was my mom, then Ashley, then my dad, then Kayla over and over. 42 calls in 6 hours. I didn't answer a single one. I didn't yell. I didn't send a rant. I didn't even tell them why. Because that was just the beginning. They didn't stop calling for 3 days. My voicemail was full of half messages. Heavy sighs, some passive-aggressive silence, a few fake just call us back tones. I didn't answer a single one. On the 3rd night, I got a text from my dad. Just 4 words. You were being very childish. That's when I knew they still didn't get it. Not even close. I started getting texts from extended family and Mel asked what was going on. Uncle Jerry texted a question mark. Then Kayla sent another group message, this time with a screenshot of my 1 cent payment and the note. I already gave everything. She captioned it, WTF? Is this supposed to mean? And sent it to everyone. Still no mention of the birthday. Still no apology. Just confusion, like I was the one who'd gone off script. 2 days later, Ashley called me from a different number. I picked up by mistake. She said Kayla was in tears, that I was blowing things out of proportion. That we all forgot. Big deal. It's not like it was your wedding. That one really stuck. I said one sentence back to her. Just one, then hung up. That's when things shifted. They started trying to smooth things over. My mom sent an email, her version of an apology. It was 4 lines. She said they'd gotten so busy with wedding planning and things just slipped through the cracks. Then she asked if I was still going to be giving my part of the photographer payment since that's really important right now. Not a single line asking how I felt, not a single word that made me feel like a person. So, I wrote nothing. Instead, I booked a haircut at a spot I've been eyeing for months, upgraded my apartment lighting, ordered a nice desk chair. I started doing all the little things I put off for years while covering for them. A week later, I went to brunch alone and saw Uncle Jerry at another table across the restaurant. He spotted me, stood up, walked over. No hello. Just leaned in and said, "You know they're planning something for the wedding. Just saying. Don't expect it to go easy." I looked at him. He didn't blink. "What do you mean?" He shrugged and said, "They feel like you embarrassed the family. The photographer thing. They told everyone you refused to help. Said you stormed off over nothing. Words going around." I asked if he was warning me. He said he didn't know. Then he went back to his table. So I did something they didn't expect. I responded yes to the wedding. I bought a gift, not expensive, but thoughtful. Something only someone close to Kayla would know she wanted. I booked a hotel near the venue and didn't tell anyone. I didn't update the family group chat. I didn't post anything online. And I started planning what I'd wear because I knew they had something planned for me. They wanted to embarrass me in front of everyone. They had no idea I was already 5 steps ahead. The wedding was exactly what I expected. Overdone, expensive, loud in that curated way where nothing is left to chance. Everything from the flower arrangements to the cocktail napkins screamed money. The kind of wedding you throw to impress strangers, not to celebrate love. I arrived early, parked at the edge of the lot, and walked in alone. The valet glanced at me, maybe wondering if I belonged. I kept walking. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't even angry anymore. I felt strangely calm, like someone watching a movie they already knew the ending to. People noticed me. Of course they did. I hadn't spoken to any of them in weeks. Some gave tight, polite nods. A few looked away like they'd just seen something inconvenient. But no one said anything directly. No confrontation. Just discomfort. That told me everything I needed to know. The ceremony was outside under a huge arch of white roses. Kayla looked beautiful. I'll give her that. She always knew how to pull focus. The groom, Nick, looked like he'd just been told he won a contest and wasn't sure why. They read their vows. The crowd sniffled. Someone played a violin softly in the background. I sat near the middle third row. Not close enough to be family, but close enough to be seen. Kayla's eyes found me halfway through the vows. Just a second. No smile, no wave, just surprise. She wasn't expecting me. That was the point. After the ceremony, everyone filed into the reception hall. Champagne, string lights, the works. Assigned seating. My name card was crammed at the end of a long table with cousins I hadn't spoken to since college. I made small talk, smiled, ate what they served. Update: it wasn't until the toast started that the mood shifted. The best man went first. Funny, safe, a little long. Then came my dad. I knew something was coming the second he stood up. He tapped the mic, cleared his throat, and smiled that tight-lipped smile he always used before pretending he was being wise. He started with the usual wedding talk: love, commitment, foundation of trust. Then it veered. He started talking about how family is everything, about loyalty, about showing up for one another even when it's hard. Then he said this: sometimes people get so wrapped up in their own pride, they forget what it means to be part of something bigger. And hey, maybe they've only got 1 cent to give. That's fine. But maybe next time they think about putting that cent towards something meaningful. A few people laughed. Some didn't get it, but enough did. I didn't flinch. I didn't leave. I just raised my glass and took a sip of water. Kayla was smiling. Ashley leaned toward her, whispering something with that smug little smirk she always had when she thought she'd won. My mom didn't even glance my way. She just stared down at her hands. They thought that was it, their big moment, their payback. After the toasts, I stepped outside. The patio was empty except for a server taking a break. I stood there for the rest of the evening. I didn't cause a scene. I didn't confront anyone. I just stayed out of their spotlight and let them enjoy their curated perfect day. That night, back at the hotel, I packed quickly. I was already booked for a flight the next morning. One way. No return. I'd been planning it quietly for weeks. Right before bed, I sent one final message to the family group chat: moving next week. Don't ask where. No one replied. A few days later, I started posting quiet pictures. Nothing too flashy. A beach here, a new coffee spot there. Just enough for them to see I was gone, living well without them. Every few weeks, I'd get a missed call or a vague message from a blocked number. I didn't answer any of them. They'd spent their lives assuming I'd always be the one cleaning up the messes, filling in the blanks, fixing the plans. But this time, I wasn't doing anything. And the silence was louder than any revenge I could have planned. After I moved, the silence from my side was intentional. I didn't block them. I just stopped replying. Left everything open. I wanted them to sit with it, to feel the weight of what they'd done without a response to soften the blow. I moved into a quiet 1-bedroom in a city I'd never talked about around them. The lease was cheap for what it was. High ceilings, old hardwood floors, a balcony just big enough for a chair, and a view of nothing in particular. I liked it immediately. The first week, I didn't even unpack everything. I bought fresh sheets, a new lamp, a single plant. It felt good to start small. I didn't tell anyone my address. No new group chats. No surprise visits. The family tried calling a few times. They left voicemails that started with concern and eventually shifted into confusion. One message from my mom stood out. She said, "This is going too far. It's been a month." A month. I remembered sitting alone at that table on my birthday, watching 10 empty seats, refreshing my phone. They moved on in a night. I took my time. I got a new job in that second month. Smaller company, better hours. I started going on weekend trips. 2 days in Denver. A long weekend in Seattle. Nothing extravagant. Just distance. I posted a few pictures here and there. Never tagging locations. Never adding captions. Just enough for them to know. By month 3, the calls had mostly stopped, but the jealousy had started leaking in. Ashley sent a message pretending it was about a recipe. Saw your photo from that seafood place. Do you remember how mom makes that baked halibut? It was baked. I didn't bite. Kayla emailed me out of nowhere. The subject line said, update. It was about her honeymoon. She attached 10 photos of her and Nick on a beach somewhere. No question. No apology. Just a long string of aren't you happy for me? I didn't reply. My dad sent a photo of the old car he used to drive. Thinking about selling. Want it? I stared at it for a second, then archived the message. I knew what they were doing. Testing the door. Around month 4, I got word through a cousin that my mom had been asking about my exact location. That she told people I'd moved somewhere rural to make it sound like I'd run off or was having some kind of breakdown. Classic damage control. But then came the wedding album. It was mailed to me. No return address, but I recognized my mom's handwriting on the envelope. Inside was a full printed album of Kayla's wedding. Every page looked professionally done. A curated memory book of a family that looked perfect. And on one page toward the end, there was a photo of me sitting alone at the edge of the reception. The caption they added was "Came after all." That's when I realized what they were doing. Rewriting the story. They were going to pretend none of it happened. That my birthday never got skipped. That they didn't make fun of me during the toast. That I wasn't being used for money until I finally said no. They were going to pretend I was just moody, distant. That they were always trying. And I could have responded, sent a message, told everyone the truth, but I didn't. Because silence was doing all the work for me. 7 months passed before I saw any of them again. I didn't plan it. I wasn't coming back for anything. But my license was due for renewal. And unfortunately, I still had to do it in person in my home state. So, I flew in, stayed 2 nights, and told no one. The DMV was packed as expected. I kept my head down and waited. About halfway through, I heard someone say my name. I looked up and saw Uncle Jerry. He gave a short nod, asked if I had time for coffee after. I didn't really want to, but something in the way he asked made me say yes. We went to a small diner around the corner. He didn't say much at first. Just ordered coffee and stared out the window. Then he said, "You know they're still trying to spin it, right?" I didn't answer. He kept going. Told me Kayla had told the extended family that I'd had a rough year, that I'd pulled away, that I got overwhelmed with everything. A complete rewrite. "They're telling people you isolated yourself," he said, "that you had a breakdown after not being invited to help more with the wedding." I laughed at that. Jerry shrugged and said, "I just thought you should know. You've been quiet. That's driving them crazy." When I got back to the hotel, I pulled up Facebook. My mom had posted a throwback photo of us from some family trip in the 90s. Her caption said something like, "Missing simpler times. Always loved my boy." I didn't like it. Didn't comment. Just stared at it for a long time. The next day, I drove past the old house. My dad's car was in the driveway. Lights were on in the kitchen. I parked 2 blocks away and just sat there. Final update: I wasn't going in. I just wanted to see it once more. And as I sat there, a text came through from Ashley. It just said, "Are you home?" I turned the phone over and drove away. Back at the airport, I pulled up a site I'd been eyeing for months. It was a long-shot job. Something with international travel. Something completely different from what I'd been doing. I applied from the gate. That flight home felt different. I wasn't escaping. I wasn't avoiding them. I was just done. They could keep spinning stories, pretending things hadn't happened the way they had. But the more they talked, the quieter I got. And somehow that silence spoke louder than anything I could say. Because the truth was simple. I wasn't coming back. Not to the house. Not to the role they had built for me. And I knew deep down that was what they feared the most. A month after I flew back, I got the job. It came with relocation, paid travel, a quiet apartment in a different country. I accepted it the same day the offer came in. Didn't hesitate. 2 weeks later, I packed my life into 3 suitcases and boarded a plane. No goodbye messages. No social media post announcing the move. I didn't know anyone, but I started fresh. My days were full. Finally, the kind of full that doesn't feel like surviving. I met people I had nothing to prove myself to. I worked. I explored. I slept better. I wasn't avoiding anyone anymore. I was just free. Every once in a while, I'd post a photo, a mountain, a train ride, a coffee in some small city I never expected to love. No location, no tags, just enough to let them know I was still out there living. That's when it really started. The jealousy. It came in subtle waves at first. A DM from Ashley, "Looks like you're having a nice time." Followed by silence. A comment from my mom under a photo, "Wow. Living your best life." Kayla sent me a long email. Rambling, half update, half guilt trip. She said things like, "It's been hard not having you around, and we all want to fix things, but still never mentioned my birthday, or the toast, or the 1 cent. It was full of vague language and not a single concrete apology. I didn't respond. They didn't know how to handle that. Every time I disappeared a little more, they tried to pull me back in with something that looked like concern but always turned into control. My dad sent a message asking if I'd thought about coming back home. Said it would mean a lot to the family. I left it on read. What none of them understood was that I didn't hate them. I wasn't waiting to punish them or scheming some long revenge. That would have meant I still cared in the same way. I didn't. I just didn't trust them with access to me anymore. And that was enough to drive them mad. The last real contact I had was 3 months ago. A message from Ashley saying, "Mom is not doing great emotionally. You should call just to let her hear your voice." I stared at it for a long time. Then I wrote back, "She heard my silence for years. She can listen to it now, too." I didn't expect a reply. And I didn't get one. I celebrated my next birthday overseas. No family, no drama, just good food, a couple of new friends, and a call from someone I'd started seeing. At one point during dinner, I got a notification. Kayla had posted a photo of the whole family at some get-together. My chair was empty in the corner of the frame. She captioned it, "Always feels like someone's missing." For once, she got it right. They could keep pretending, keep spinning their stories. But I wasn't playing the part anymore. I left the stage quietly, without a scene, and I never looked back. The update: it had been over a year since I left. At this point, I had settled into a life I never thought I'd have. Different country, different rhythm. People who didn't know my past and didn't care about the drama. I was fluent in a new language. I had a favorite bakery. I was dating someone who didn't try to fix me or use me or guilt me into anything. For the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't performing. And then, out of nowhere, something happened that pulled the past right back into my hands. I got a letter. Not an email. Not a text. A real letter. No return address. Just my name neatly printed. It was forwarded from my old mailing service. I opened it thinking it might be something bureaucratic, but it wasn't. It was from my cousin, the one who never really picked sides, just kind of existed quietly in the background of all the family noise. The letter was short. He said he'd found something and didn't know what to do with it, so he was sending it to me because you were probably the only one who deserves to know. Inside the envelope was a printout, an email from my mom to a cousin dated 3 days before my birthday, the one they skipped. In it, she wrote that I was getting too comfortable thinking he matters more than he does. That they were planning on not showing up to humble him a little. She said I needed a reality check and that maybe a quiet birthday would remind me he's not the center of everything. I read it 3 times. There it was. Proof. Not a misunderstanding. Not forgetfulness. Intentional. Planned. They skipped my birthday to humble me. I don't know why it hit me so hard. I thought I was past it. I built a whole new life. But something about seeing it spelled out like that, the cruelty of it, the arrogance, reopened something. For a second, I considered calling. Not to scream or cry or demand anything. Just to say I saw it. But I didn't. Instead, I took a photo of the letter and posted it. No names. No context. With a caption, "When they say it wasn't personal, but you finally find out it was." The post blew up a little. Strangers in the comments, some sharing their own family betrayals. Some just saying, "Glad you left." I never mentioned it to them. Never sent a reply to the cousin. Never posted a follow-up. But I framed the letter. Not out of spite. Not as some weird trophy. I framed it as a reminder, of why I left, of why I stayed gone, and of why I'll never go back. Sometimes the silence you give people is the loudest thing they'll ever hear. Final update. It's funny how people start pretending to care once they realize they can't control the narrative anymore. About 2 months after I posted the letter, just a blurry photo and a caption that said more than they ever had, Kayla reached out. Not with an apology. Not even a real message. Just a DM that said, "Wow, that was low." I ignored it. The next day, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it ring. Then another one. Eventually, I picked up. It was my dad. His voice was calm, almost weirdly polite, like he was trying to pretend we were strangers. He said he'd seen the post. Said, "There's no reason to drag this stuff out into the open, like my silence wasn't their own making." I didn't say much. Just listened. He said my mom had been crying. That Kayla was hurt. That the family was falling apart because I refused to just move on. I finally said something. I asked if he remembered that dinner I booked, the one they skipped, the reservation for 10. He said, "You know, we didn't mean for it to get that bad." I said, "Yeah. You meant it to get worse." I hung up after that. A week later, I got a wedding invitation in the mail from Ashley's daughter. They still had my name listed as Michael. No note. No personal message. Just a card and a date. I left it unopened on the counter for a week before tossing it.